It's the Spiwe Show, an idea exchange empowering you to live well, live fully, and love deeply. And now, here's our host, Spiwe Pierce.
FM 89.9 KMOJ, we are the People's Station. This is the program, The African Roots Connection. And on this program, we talk about everything that promotes us as a people. And be it religion, be it family, medicine, politics, whatever it is that makes us better, we will talk about it. We don't always have to talk about relationships between African and African Americans. I know that's a very hot topic and people want to talk about it, but sometimes we got to address other issues that plague us, some other issues that destroy the very element that builds us up. And so one of those are just the family values that we talk about. Having a mom and a dad getting along so they can be a shining example for their kids to emulate. That cannot be wrong. I don't think so.
You know, one of the things that this last caller said that I think is very interesting is, you know, if you go by what I call it a life manual on my show. And your life, I call it that because your life manual is really the instructional scripture that you read, whether it's the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, whatever it is. If you go by that, that gives you the best instruction for how to live in the best way, right? So that's what we're talking about. What is the highest and best standard? And actually, to her point, there are instructions too on how to select the spouse, right? So if you did not select the right spouse to begin with, then you're going to have issues with respect and honor and submission. Because if you, for example, are in a relationship and you're married to someone who is not grounded in God, and you are, then there's certain values you're just not going to share. And then it becomes hard to say, okay, see, I got to honor you, and I got to submit to you, but here's what you're supposed to be doing. And he's looking at you like, what? I'm not doing that.
Right.
Then what do you do?
It's, you know, and I think again, if we love our wives, I don't think they will have a problem of submitting. And I do have a problem with the word submit also. I gotta let you know, I'm a guy, but I don't want a wife that would submit to me. I want a wife that would honor me and respect me.
Okay.
So if I come with some counter argument to what you're saying, hear me out. Okay? Let reason and let the definition of our life manual, whatever that you always talk about, our moral values, let it come into play, and let's make a decision based upon what both of us believe in as moral values. You know, and if you happen to win as my wife, that's fine. I don't always have to win. It doesn't always have to be my way, because Lord knows my way sometimes is the very wrong way.
Right.
You know, and then also I realize by being married, sometimes there are skills that you are not 100% in, and your wife is. Like when every time I write, my wife reads, and I get very mad. But guess what? She finds one or two errors.
I'm going to suggest something. You tell me.
You know?
I'm going to suggest something that might be controversial.
Okay.
There are studies that would suggest that women are better leaders in the workforce than men.
Guess what? I 110% support that.
Okay.
I
so
believe
now,
that.
let's go to, you know, we've heard people talk about slavery, but let's go to pre-slavery times, right? We're talking about the Bible. Let's start with the first couple, Adam and Eve.
Right.
It was Adam's job to have dominion over the animals, and it was to Adam that God gave the command not to eat the fruit. Right. So Eve eats the fruit. Who was accountable first? It was Adam, right? God goes to Adam first and says, you know, basically, what are you guys doing down there? And so what if God gave man the role of the head of the household as a stretch role? Because he already knew that women had all these qualities. They had leadership qualities. And maybe if he didn't give the role to Adam, Adam would have not naturally just assumed it. He'd have sort of let Eve, you know, kind of run the show.
you know that's.
What if it was a stretch role for Adam?
That's what you were saying, but you know you're saying that to the wrong guy, because again, I believe that a woman should not submit to a man, but I feel that she should honor and respect him. Okay. And I
so
don't
what is
think,
submission to you? Is submission
I
bowing
think,
down?
Yes, I think if according to my definition, it's to give yourself to someone or to other for approval. I don't need to approve of my wife. I don't need to validate her. She is as beautiful as can be, created by the Master. I have no place in validating her. I have no place in approving her. I mean, I saw her as she was, and I took her, like you said, it's a choice. So why am I not having a problem to inspecting her, to validate her mental judgment or her physical attributes? I don't think so. Because, again, if I ask someone, a female right now, tell me what you think of Charles, I'll get some pretty sour, bitter, and nasty description. Because not everyone is appealing to everyone. Not everyone sees good in everyone. I mean, that's just a word, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So why do you go asking for someone when you know you're not perfect? Why do you look for perfection where there isn't one?
What if submission means that in our defined roles within the household, you get to be the decision maker if we don't agree? For example, just easy example. Let's say we're married, you have dominion over the garage.
Right.
And we can't agree on what color the walls in the garage should be.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is the walls are going to be slate gray instead of, hint of mint green, which is what I would prefer.
Okay.
Because that's your dominion. That's what we have agreed to be your role. And I use a very simple example. But, maybe sometimes submission is simply saying, you know what, I don't agree, but it's not that big a deal. This is your show, you decide.
Again, you're correct. That's from my lady's perspective. But from me, as a guy,
Mm-hmm.
if my wife wants the garage, where it's my spot, my space, or my man cave, painted a different color, if I stood before man and God, and I vowed to love you and care for you, and,
Mm-hmm.
I adore you, is a color on the wall too much to give you?
Well, that one would think that if I feel that way about you, my husband, I should be able to just give you whatever color you want.
But in case you do not give me that, can I not give you that? Because if I do that today, who knows tomorrow? I might pick the picture of the color of the kitchen. Because you're learning from example.
No,
he's
see,
very...
I'm going to be like, that's my dominion. You can't pick the color of the kitchen.
Yeah, yes, but what I'm saying is sometimes that we teach one another by example.
Okay.
If you're always very forgiving of your partner, at some point, if you make a mistake, you'll be like, oh, not a big deal. There's probably a lot of mistakes and he's forgiving me, so let's move on.
Okay, so you extend grace to me, I extend grace to you.
And that's how I see it, because again, if you really, really love her, that you profess before man and God, what is too big for her?
So is it really a virtuous circle whereby, I defer to you,
Yes.
you defer to me.
Yes.
And between the two of us, it's sort of, no, after you. No, after you.
Right, and at some point, it will get to be, because if you strive to please me, and I strive to please you, we pleasing one another. It's not a bad day. Everything is like it's for your good, it's for my good. That's when, in my absence, you make a decision. I know that all you try to show me is you're in my best interest. So if you make a decision while I'm away, the first thing that comes to mind is, will she hurt me? No, she's always shown to me, all through the course of this relationship, that my best interest is at heart. So why should I even contest?
So that goes to the heart of the relationship, right? So if you have the right relationship, then that works, because I will always know that my
Yes.
husband, my wife has my best interests at heart. They will never hurt me, so
Right.
I can trust you, which
Right.
is something that one of the callers said. It's really about trust. If I can trust, then I don't have an issue with submission. I don't have an issue with needing control.
Matter of fact, you will be submitted without using the word submit.
It doesn't feel like
You know,
submission. It just
it
feels
wouldn't
like
feel-
we have a partnership.
Exactly.
And we're agreeing on most things.
But
just as-
I think as men or husbands sometimes, I think, again, I don't want to use the word submit, but I think there are times where you have to yield or bow to your wife and say, you know what, in this particular aspect or in this area, I admire your strength, or I think you're more versed than I am, so yeah, you make the choice. Some guys might call it submission. I don't. I call it as you and I on the same team, so if I use your expertise to make this team better, I'm a winner, you're a winner. Because if I write an email to someone that I'm so proud and I can't let my wife edit my writing, and it goes out, I'll be like, what kind of man is this? He's not, I gotta question his educational status, because look how he's writing.
Mhm.
But if she helps me and I can put together a very nice email that goes out, I'll be like, wow,
This is nice.
So again, I'm winning.
Well then, is it so bad that the Bible says husbands, wives should submit? If there was a different word, would you feel better about it? So let's say it didn't say, wives submit to your husbands. It said, wives honor your husbands. Would that be a better word today?
I think it would be a lot better. A lot of females, especially in this generation, would be like, oh, that's cool. I can honor him. But I think, and again, I purposely did this on this program, leaving out that word, husband loves your wife, love your wife as Christ loved the church. And like you said, it's a circle. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You have to love her. I tell you one thing, when I was dating my wife, I didn't want her to mow the lawn at her house. I said, I can do it. She was like, you know what? I'm going to continue to do this until I see some consistency in you that you're going to do it. Because I don't want to get it off my to-do list. And then one day my grass is so tall because you're busy doing your own lawn at your house.
Okay.
But for me, I think that's genuine because I have to prove myself as a good leader before anybody can follow me. It happens on the job.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's a good point, So again, I'm one of those guys who the word submit is a little too tough. We can put honor, we can put respect, and I think it's a two-way street that you have to love your wife, that you have to respect you. And I know my wife is listening to me and rolling her eyes like, yeah, right. Because I'm not a perfect husband, but I try. I try to reassess myself and see where I can improve, where I'm falling short. And sometimes it's hard to break old habits, but you just have to try. You have to accept.
Well, I asked my significant other the other day about this topic, and he says, well, when I think of you, I don't really think of the word submit. Because I'm sitting there like, I'm a submissive woman, aren't I a submissive woman? He said, no, not really.
No, yeah, we know you guys are not. But again, just for the sake of peace, we'll let it go. We'd like to take the last call. Hello? Hello?
When God brings that man and that woman together, it's always something that one cannot do, that one can do, that make them what he wants them to be.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very well.
Your wife and you, if people could understand it more better, they would come together more better and do what God wants them to do.
Okay, what?
I always have to understand that whatever God called me to do, it's got to be something there that he wants you to do too that I cannot fulfill by myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that both of us got to do together to make it work the way he wants it.
I got you. Thank you so much. You know what? This is an appropriate last call for this program because you said all the right things we want to hear this morning. So thanks for calling. So, Spiwe, what's your final word on this topic about submission?
My final word is, at the end of the day, it's about honor, love, and respect.
Yes, it's time for us to call it. It's been a wonderful show, people, as always. And the next time Spiwe is on here, we're going to be talking about African and African-American marriages. It's the cultural differences, the hindrances, the similarities. Exactly. So listen up, people. I'm going to be back with Spiwe again, and we're going to talk about, African-American marrying to Africans. And those relationships, they're so beautiful. I love them.
Thank you for joining us on the Spiwe Show. Until next time, live well, live fully, and love deeply.